could be on the move. I mean, he is a bona fide one. You see in the years of his years in Philly, he's a 1,000-yard receiver every single year of his career there. I mean, but it's starting to decline a little bit the past two seasons as compared to 2022 and 2023. He's also been a touchdown machine. I mean, he's just a reliable target that you're not going to want. Anybody would love to have on their team, talent-wise. And now A.J. Brown has been adding fuel to the fire.
An NFL insider just dropped a
bombshell that could completely reshape the future of Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns. According to reports, Jimmy Haslam is gearing up to pull the trigger on a massive blockbuster trade that would send Jeudy and a first-round pick to Philadelphia in exchange for A.J. Brown. Yes, that A.J. Brown, a certified WR1 who's been publicly frustrated and signaling he wants out of Philly. This isn't just internet noise anymore either. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler has confirmed the Browns are actively in the market for A.J. Brown, and suddenly, all the pieces are lining up. Think about what this means. Shedeur Sanders finally gets a true number one receiver, someone who can separate, win contested catches, dominate in the red zone, and stress defenses vertically. At the same time, Jeudy, who's been largely underwhelming and increasingly viewed as a locker room distraction since arriving in Cleveland, gets moved before he causes further issues. And here's the real twist. The Browns would still keep their top 5 pick, putting them in position to draft an elite offensive tackle like Kelvin Banks Jr. or Will Campbell to actually protect their franchise quarterback. This is exactly the kind of aggressive, win-now move Andrew Berry has never been afraid to make. We've seen it before with Amari Cooper, Deshaun Watson, and even the Odell Beckham Jr. trade years back. Cleveland doesn't hesitate when they see a chance to upgrade. With A.J. Brown frustrated, the Eagles reportedly willing to absorb a massive cap hit to move him, and the Browns desperate for a legitimate WR1 to pair with Shedeur Sanders. This deal makes almost too much sense. But before we jump to conclusions, we need to slow down and really unpack what's happening here, because this situation is loaded with drama, controversy, and front office chess moves that could define the next 5 years of Browns football.
About this by reporters. And he said in that moment where I'm just talking to my friend, having fun with my friend, I'm not apologizing for that. If you have eyes, you could see that. And so it's not like I was throwing anybody under the bus. I'm literally just trying to laugh through this. This is tough, but I'm trying to make fun of the situation and try to get through it. He's pissed off in Philadelphia. It's evident.
First, let's talk about A.J. Brown and why he's even on the table to begin with. This is a 28-year-old wide receiver, still firmly in his prime, and since the moment he arrived in Philadelphia, he's been one of the most consistent weapons in the entire NFL. Every single season with the Eagles, A.J. Brown has cleared 1,000 yards. Every year, he's been a touchdown threat, a go-to option in clutch moments, and the kind of receiver defensive coordinators have to build an entire game plan around. His talent has never been the issue. What's broken in Philly is the situation around him. Earlier this season, Brown publicly told fantasy football managers to drop him because he wasn't getting enough targets. And that wasn't sarcasm or jokes. That was real frustration spilling into the open. Then things escalated when he appeared on a Twitch stream and openly admitted that while his family was good, everything else was terrible. He laughed it off, but the frustration was obvious. When reporters followed up, Brown didn't backtrack. He said he wasn't apologizing for venting, that he was just trying to laugh through a tough situation, and that anyone paying attention could see what was happening in Philadelphia. Translation: A.J. Brown is fed up. He's frustrated with the play calling, frustrated with his role in the offense, and frustrated with not getting the ball consistently. And once a star player starts airing grievances like that publicly, the clock is already ticking. From a business standpoint, the numbers make this even more realistic. Brown is owed about $50 million over the next 2 years, which is completely reasonable for an elite WR1 still producing at a high level. This isn't some cap-crushing contract. On top of that, if the Eagles trade him before June 1st, they take on a $20 million cap hit themselves, giving them even more incentive to move him quickly. That's where Cleveland gains leverage. And that brings us to Jeudy. Let's be honest, Jeudy has been a disappointment in Cleveland. The Browns gave up mid-round picks hoping he'd elevate the offense, but instead they've gotten inconsistency, drops in key moments, visible frustration on the sidelines, and production that looks nothing like a true WR1. He's not a top option, and on a serious playoff team, he's a complimentary piece at best. If Cleveland wants to take the next step, it needs to cut their losses now, flip Jeudy part of a bigger move, and finally give their quarterback a real #1 target.
On the team. If he's on the team, what's the plan? And this is where the biggest problem lies for me, especially being a coach. What's the plan for What's the plan? There's no sure information. Here's why we rolling. This is what's going on. Everything's hush, hush, hush. And I don't mind as a devil's workshop. So my problem that I'm really having is, where does Shedeur Sanders fit in this scheme? At one point, like I say.
But here's where this trade idea actually becomes smart, not risky. Instead of cutting Jeudy or letting him walk for nothing, the Browns can flip a bad situation into a major win by packaging him with a first-round pick and sending both to Philadelphia for A.J. Brown. From the Eagles' side, it makes sense too. They get a younger receiver who can line up next to Devontae Smith, a guy who could easily be a WR1 on other teams but plays second fiddle in Philly. Plus, they add valuable draft capital to keep retooling the roster. For Cleveland, the upside is massive. They get a proven elite wide receiver immediately while still holding on to their own top 5 pick to fix the offensive line. That's the real key here. The Browns have 2 first-round picks this year, their own likely landing in the top 5, and the Jacksonville pick sitting somewhere in the late teens or early 20s. The move is simple. You send the Jacksonville pick along with Jeudy to Philly. Keep your premium pick and use it on an elite left tackle. Now look at what that does for Shedeur Sanders. You're protecting him with a day-1 starter on the blind side and giving him a true #1 target who can win one-on-one, separate consistently, and be trusted in big moments. That's how you build confidence in a young quarterback and speed up his development. And for anyone questioning whether A.J. Brown is worth a first-round pick at 28, let's be real. His numbers may not match his peak seasons, but he hasn't fallen off. He's still hovering around 1,000 yards, despite obvious frustration and questionable usage. The dip in touchdowns has more to do with the Eagles' offensive approach than his talent. Put A.J. Brown in Cleveland with a quarterback who's going to look for him, trust him, and feed him the ball, and he's right back in the top 10 receiver conversation. Talent like that doesn't disappear. Meanwhile, Jeudy has had chances and hasn't capitalized. He's been inconsistent, unreliable, and nowhere near what this offense needs. The Browns already know who he is. Moving him now, as part of a bigger deal for a real difference maker like A.J. Brown, is the cleanest and smartest way forward.
First from Jacksonville, the later one, and we'll throw in Jeudy. A little wide receiver 1 swap, because you're going to want to get something in return. They got Devonta Smith over there who might be a 1 on some other teams, so I think they do fine with Jeudy, and we give him a first. We get A.J. Brown. We get our wide receiver, folks. What do you think about that?
Let's talk about Cleveland's history with moves like this, because none of this would be new for the Browns. This franchise has repeatedly shown that it's willing to be aggressive in the trade market when it comes to wide receivers. Go back to 2018 under John Dorsey, when they traded for Jarvis Landry and immediately paid him like one of the top receivers in the league. A year later, they stunned everyone by landing Odell Beckham Jr., sending Jabril Peppers and multiple picks to the Giants. At the time, it felt like a franchise-changing move. OBJ was one of the most explosive playmakers in football, and pairing him with Baker Mayfield looked like it would light up the league. It didn't work out the way anyone hoped because of injuries, chemistry issues, and eventually a messy exit, but that's not the point. The point is, Cleveland wasn't scared to swing big when they saw a chance to upgrade. Fast forward to 2022, and Andrew Berry pulls off another major move by trading for Amari Cooper, a true WR1 who went on to lead the AFC North in receiving yards every year he was with the team. That trade completely changed the offense. Then last year, the Browns took another shot by sending a 5th and 6th round pick to Denver for Jerry Jeudy. It wasn't a blockbuster, but it was still an attempt to add firepower. The problem is that Jeudy hasn't delivered. The production hasn't matched the expectations, and now Cleveland has a chance to flip that mistake into something meaningful. This is how aggressive front offices operate. They don't wait around hoping the draft solves everything. They identify moments in the trade market and act decisively. Right now, that moment is here. A.J. Brown is clearly unhappy in Philadelphia. The Eagles are open to moving him and absorbing the cap hit, and the Browns have the assets to get it done. Most importantly, Shedeur Sanders needs a legitimate number one receiver to elevate this offense. So here's the deal. Cleveland sends Jeudy and the late first-round pick they got from Jacksonville to Philadelphia. In return, they get A.J. Brown. Clean and simple. The Eagles walk away with a young receiver to pair with Devonta Smith, a first-round pick to keep building, and an exit from a situation that's only going to get uglier. The Browns land an elite WR1 still in his prime, move on from a player who hasn't worked out, and keep their top 5 pick to fix the offensive line. That's a win-win scenario.
It's the risk you take when you draft a Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round when you already have a plethora of quarterbacks to go along with it.
Chris, one of the questions I got during the break on PFTPM was to identify all the quarterbacks throughout the league who are on the hot seat this year.
Yeah.
And for Cleveland, I said all of them. There's a chance all of them will be gone next year or not in position to start. I mean, with Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, they have...
So let me ask you this. If you're the Browns, are you accepting that trade? Type A for accept, type D for decline. Because the more you actually think about it, the better this deal looks for Cleveland. You're upgrading the most important skill position on offense without sacrificing your ability to protect Shedeur Sanders by burning both first-round picks on non-offensive line help. Now imagine what this offense could look like in 2025 if this trade actually happens. You've got Shedeur Sanders under center, a legitimate franchise quarterback who just threw for 364 yards and 4 touchdowns against the Titans in only his 3rd career start. You line up A.J. Brown on the outside as your clear WR1, a physical monster who wins contested catches, dominates after the catch, and lives in the red zone. Elijah Moore slides into the slot, where he's been one of the most underrated weapons in the league. David Njoku continues to be a reliable safety valve and mismatch at tight end, and you've got a first-round left tackle protecting Shedeur's blind side. That's not a hypothetical offense. That's a playoff-caliber unit that can go toe-to-toe with anyone in the AFC and give Shedeur a real chance to become a top 10 quarterback. And all it takes is one phone call from Andrew Berry to Howie Roseman. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Will A.J. Brown actually be happy in Cleveland? Is he going to buy into the culture or bring the same drama he's shown in Philly? I'm not going to pretend he doesn't have attitude issues, because he does, but that frustration comes from competitiveness, not laziness or decline. A.J. Brown knows how to beat press coverage, run elite routes, bail his quarterback out when plays break down, and take over games. There's no learning curve here. He's a plug-and-play weapon who makes your offense better immediately, and that's the type of move championship teams make. More importantly, look at what this does to the rest of the receiving room. Right now, Cleveland's depth chart is Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, and a group of guys who wouldn't start on most NFL teams. Swap Jeudy out for A.J. Brown and everything changes. Brown demands double teams, which frees up Moore in the slot, opens seam routes for Njoku against linebackers, and creates space for the running backs because defenses can't stack the box. That's how offensive ecosystems work. One truly elite player elevates everyone else. Jerry Jeudy doesn't scare defenses. Nobody's game planning around him. A.J. Brown is the kind of receiver that defensive coordinators lose sleep over, and that attention opens the entire offense. And here's how I think this plays out. I believe Andrew Berry has already had preliminary talks with Philadelphia, and I think those conversations have been productive. The Eagles will probably wait until after the season to officially put A.J. Brown on the block, but internally, they already know they're willing to move on for the right offer, and I think Cleveland is that offer. Jerry Jeudy plus the late first-round pick from Jacksonville gets it done, and the Browns land A.J. Brown before free agency even starts. Then, with their top 5 pick, they draft an elite left tackle, Kelvin Banks, Will Campbell, whoever tops their board, and suddenly Shedeur Sanders has protection and weapons. That's how you build a championship roster. That's how you maximize a franchise quarterback on a rookie deal. And if Cleveland lets this opportunity slip by, they'll regret it for years. Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry have a chance to make a franchise-altering move. Trading Jerry Jeudy and a first-round pick for A.J. Brown isn't just smart. It's the perfect move to set Shedeur Sanders up for long-term success. You dump a disappointment, land an elite WR1 still in his prime, and keep the draft capital needed to protect your quarterback. This is the difference between aggressive contenders and mediocre franchises. The window is open, the pieces are there. Now it's time for the Browns to pull the trigger and give Shedeur Sanders the weapons he deserves. And if you want more real breakdowns on Cleveland, Shedeur Sanders, and the moves that actually matter, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and lock in, because we're bringing the truth every single day. Let's ride with 12. Let's get it.